Well, hello there. Welcome to the Soaring Eagle RV build, video 5. In this section we'll be talking about the SureCall cellular booster for RV. And what we want to do is isolate which one of these antennas is going to work best. We have the SP1001, which we currently have on our RV build now. And what we're going to do is also install the SureCall Fibreglass RV antenna, which we normally use on RVs. Which one is going to perform the best? So we have two locations, one where the RV is at currently. We already have this one installed. And what we will do is install this one and we'll test it out. It's a little bit noisy out here with traffic, hopefully you can hear me. So in the first location we have about 2 bars of signal. And we'll try them both there. And then we'll drive to a second location just down the road here at Tamahai Creek. And there's normally about 1 bar of signal. And we'll see which one shines the best. Will it be SP1001 or will it be the SureCall Fibreglass antenna? Whichever one wins out will stay on the RV. Stay tuned to the end. See you back at the office. Hello there and welcome to another Soaring Eagle DIY RV build. Here we are in video 5 already. And in this video, as I mentioned in the last one, we'll be doing covering the SureCall cellular booster. We've been using this booster in our business for probably going on 6-7 years, if not even longer. We used this long before they even became something that was of interest for the RV industry. Used it in the commercial logging sectors and hydro sectors and the highway transport trucks, etc. And so they've moved into the RV sector for probably about 5 years. I remember doing the first install in an RV going back probably about 5-6 years in that time frame. We've put quite a few in. So if you're in an area where you're just picking up enough signal on your cell phone where you have 1 bar and you have to jump on the bumper of a truck or get in the roof of your RV to make a call, this booster is for you. Now if there's no signal there, it's like a lake without water. A pump doesn't work. And an area without cell phone signal, basically consider this a pump, and it won't work either. It needs to have a little bit of signal. So generally on your cell phone, if you see about 1 signal, it'll in most cases turn that into 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 bars on your phone. The bars are just a rough indicator of having signal. Doesn't guarantee perfect service, but it's a marginal little indicator on your phone to show the bars that you do have. Now if there's no bars on your phone and you've driven 2, 3, 4, 10 kilometers, it's very unlikely that the cell phone booster, even with a bigger antenna on it, will see anything either. But when you consider a cell phone, let me just grab mine here. There's a small little antenna built into your cell phone, and your cell phone's only output is roughly 1/4 of a watt, let's say, whereas a booster like this, you're pumping out about 2 watts of power, and then with a high gain antenna it doubles that, and you've got 4 to 5 watts of signal going on your roof, and that's going both ways. Having a big antenna is also a gain, which will give you extra signal coming back in. So if you do have a bar on your phone and you have an antenna like this sitting up on your roof, and you're not sitting inside the cab of your vehicle or your RV, with this thing being surrounded by all the walls of the RV, and this antenna is going to be out in the air 10-15 feet up in the air. It's going to see something that this won't see, so you're going to get some signal. So I use it every time I go camping, and then I can turn my Wi-Fi hotspot into an internet service, and I have about 30 gig roughly of data on my phone, and it allows me to see enough videos and movies for the weekend. It's obviously not something that you can stream video on non-stop endlessly. Every 2K movie, just on the side note here, takes about 2 to 3 G of cell phone data. So if you only have 30 gigs on your phone, that's about 10 movies. So anyway, let's get on with it. So with the SureCall booster for the RV unit, I'm just going to move forward on the screen here. The package that you're going to get from SureCall, or wherever you pick it up, if you get it through us or somebody else, this is the package that's going to come with, and it's going to have an inside antenna, your outside antenna, and then your cell phone booster. And the piece that they don't show on here is the AC adapter for plugging the unit in. So this AC adapter comes with this package as well. Now for a lot of people, they want to run their rig on DC and not have to turn their inverter off when they need this. You could always change that out, you know, for a cigarette lighter and a 12 volt supply. And talking about the 12 volts, this unit will actually operate all the way down to 5 volts, so 5 to 15 volts. So if you're running 10 volts or something like that, your power's a little bit low, this thing will probably still kick in if you have enough current in that battery, but it will operate as low as 5 volts as long as you have enough current available. So for a lot of people, they would want to switch out to the cigarette adapter, and it also has an on-off switch in it, which I'll just show over on this other camera here. We'll zoom in on it. It has a little on-off toggle switch for that. Now that package comes with a 40-foot cable SC230. It's about 40 feet long with FME connectors on both ends. It has a male FME on the one end and a female on the other end. And the male would hook up to the antenna bottom over here, and the FME female would go into the port input connector of the cell phone booster, which is labeled on the back side here. This is the outside antenna port. If we can zoom in with the other camera there, you'll see that small printing there is the outside antenna input. And then on this one here, we have the power plug-in, and we have the internal antenna, which stands up like a little antenna like this that screws on. Now in some cases, as an inside antenna, I've used other options for an antenna. For example, you can use the same antenna that comes with the mobile kits. You could attach that onto your wall. If you're in a smaller RV, that would, you know, might be sufficient for you. And another thing is, with the mobile antenna also comes with a mag mount, and on occasion I've actually used this antenna, which is actually the outside antenna for the mobile system for the cars and trucks, but it will plug in as the inside antenna, and both ends are radiating same frequency band, so this actually will work inside as well. Now a lot of times when this thing is, the cell phone booster is mounted up in the cabinet with the antenna on there, and you want a little bit more signal right close to your phone, what I'll do is I'll unscrew the other antenna, and I do this myself, I've done it frequently. I'll unscrew the other antenna and I'll screw this one in, and then you've got a length of wire, and you can bring it right down to the table where you're at and get a little bit more gain to your device, like your laptop here, etc. And that's what I use a lot, is I take this laptop with me and I have an antenna exactly like this, and I use that and I set them side by side. So if I'm in an area, that will just give me a little bit more boost to get the signal close to my cell phone and give myself a good hotspot. And recently, probably about 2 months ago now, we were up in Manning Park, and they do have a little bit of signal there with that new Manning Park RV park that's by Lightning Lake there. It never used to be any signal, but if you're in that park, sometimes you might be able to get a bar on a cell phone, but a lot of people that I talked to weren't getting any cell phone signal at all. Myself being on Rogers, we were up there and we've got about a bar on our cell phone, and then with the adapter that we had on our RV, we ended up with 2-3 bars of signal, and we could use our laptop and use our data and connect on with the internet in that location, so it works well. So I like selling what works. I'm a technician first and a salesman second, so that's kind of goes with the flow. So after about 30 years of being a tech, I'm always looking for the best product and the best bang for the buck as well. Now with these antennas that come with the RV system, this is the physical sides. So instead of just seeing it in a picture, you can compare it to my body size and what the actual physical antenna has. And it comes with an L bracket mount, and with that L bracket mount, it does have a set of 2 of these I guess U-bolts attachments, so you could attach it to a rail and put one on each side. Comes in a little kit like this with two U-bolts. And so that, or you could just clamp this on to the side of a panel or wall, air conditioner or something like that, and just screw it straight on and do that as well, or mount it to a post, mount it to the stair rail that goes up into your RV. And it does come with ample wire, but it's 40 feet, and I do believe what we call it is yes, hang on one second here, SC240. So it has a little bit less of a cable loss than your typical black wire that you would have is this cable than it does in the typical RG58 that you would have in cables. Now, having this in hand here on my RV at this point in time, I actually have this mounting bracket on my RV, and I'm using an antenna, the cellular antenna. It's a 5 dB cell antenna, just like this, and it will give you about the same amount of gain as does this RV antenna right here. I use this antenna because we've used it in the commercial industry for going on 5, 6, 7 years, and it's worked really well. It's a slimmer profile. Money-wise, it's about the same cost. It's just a completely different design. Now, you could use either or on your RV or on your truck or inside your home or a little cottage at the lake, but it works well. So that's another option that you could use, and this also has a little L bracket that can mount similar to the RV antenna with that little L bracket on there, and then you could mount it to a pipe rail either horizontal or vertically and stuff just by turning the little back bracket, or just bolt it on sideways. Now, the third option that is often used, especially on a vehicle, is a good heavy-duty mag mount. Now, these mag mounts will definitely hold the antenna on the top of the roof. We've used them for going on 30 years for commercial trucks, and you could just screw this little cell phone antenna right on top of there, and it's going to give you a little bit more gain, actually about twice the gain of the antenna that comes with the SureCall kit. So a lot of my commercial clients will switch over and put one of these SurePower 5 dB antennas on top of the roof instead of using the little stubby mag mount. So that's another option to go down that track there if you're putting it on other vehicles. Now, what I tend to do is I'll normally put a kit together for someone and sell the kit for the car kit, because then it automatically comes with the cigarette lighter plug-in, and it comes with the in-car antenna, and it also comes with that rooftop antenna. And then what I'll do is, to make it the same price as an RV kit, will come with the rooftop antenna for the RV and the cable to put that in. And where this is really beneficial is if your RV is parked for a period of time and you want to use the booster somewhere else, let's say in your truck, you could just detach the antenna and the power cord and take this thing and put it in your truck, and then use these other components that came with your car kit and use it in your truck. And so this thing isn't just sitting idle inside your RV if it's stored away for the winter months. You can use it in the wintertime when you're going away for Christmas or going through the mountains in your vehicle, and use it in your RV or use it in your truck. So it works really well. It's a kind of a dual purpose that way. And you could just Velcro this down. It does have some little screw holes there that you could mount it somewhere permanently, semi-permanently, or a lot of times what they'll do is they'll lay it inside of a cabinet and mount it there. Now, Now, when you're mounting an antenna on an RV, you want to try and get as much room as possible between your booster and the antenna up on the roof. And where that becomes a bit of a crucial matter is in a car or truck, you tend to have a metal roof line, and the metal blocks the antenna from inside to outside. So you're not going to get the signal from either antenna radiating back and forth, and you won't get the oscillation going. By the rooftop of an RV typically is fiberglass or some form of rubber roofing with some plywood, but it's a lot more likely that some antenna signal from the inside antenna to the outside antenna could radiate back and forth to each other, causing an oscillation and depleting the gain of your antenna. So it's always best to get as much distance as possible between those and get as many obstacles in the way. So in this example here, the antenna that's radiating to the tower has this air conditioner in the way here to get down to the booster. So that's good to have obstacles in the way facing the location where your inside antenna and your outside antenna are. So that's crucial. That's probably number one in doing an installation that most people tend to forget. I've often had a person say, I bought one, it just doesn't work for me. And what'll often happen,
you can get even more out of your booster. First off, proper installation is key to getting peak performance out of your booster. A few key points to keep in mind are antenna separation and the connections of the various components. Make sure that the inside and outside antennas are sufficiently spaced apart. This is called antenna separation. If you get the two antennas too close to each other, they will talk to each other, creating feedback or oscillation. Your booster will detect this oscillation and limit its output power to eliminate the problem. This is a great feature, and your booster is still working just fine, but you could be getting even more coverage area. If you see red lights on the booster, that means it is experiencing oscillation and has cut back its gain or output power. Move the booster further away from the outside antenna until you no longer see red lights. Another simple tip is to make sure all connections on the booster are secure and tight. Ensure that all cables have a good finger-tight connection to minimize any loss and keep the booster performing at its best. As a side note, don't use a wrench to tighten the connections, as this could over-tighten them and break the connections. A nice, solid finger-tight connection is more than enough. So those are a few tips to help you get even better signal coverage in your RV on your next adventure. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos.
Here we go. That's a neat little video that SureCall has put together, and you could also watch them on their own YouTube channel on SureCall, www.SureCall, and they have a couple more videos running on installations for trucks, cars, and RVs. And so at the end of this video, we'll be driving to a remote location where the cell phone signal is weak, and what we want to do is test the difference between this antenna and this antenna. And I do have a spot where I can go to where there's possibly one bar on my cell phone, and we'll see what we get. Alright, here we are at the RV. Let's get busy and add the second antenna, and then we'll head out to a location that has weak signal strength for Rogers, and I'll just show you up there the antenna that I've already got mounted up on top. Is the 5 dB antenna, and what we'll do is we'll add a secondary antenna. I want to show you where I've got the SureCall cellular booster installed up here in the cabinet. And what we'll do is just open it up, and SureCall booster is up there. Excuse the wires inside here. That's where all the technology is hiding out. So that's where the SureCall booster is at. And we'll just come down here and turn on the inverter. We do have a GoPower inverter battery support system here. 400 watts of solar on the roof right now. So there we are, fired up on the inverter. So the booster should light up, and we'll get some flashing lights going on here. And we've got a number of green lights on, no reds and orange, so that's good. No oscillation going on, but it's just peaking right now, depending on which cellular tower it's on and which frequency band it can lock onto. And so it flashes around as it's searching for that. But what I did do is I took some preliminary tests at the location here using the 5 dB antenna that I have currently mounted on the roof to see what kind of signal strength I was getting inside the RV on my cell phone with out the booster on, and had about 2 solid bars without the booster, and it went up to 4 bars, and I'll put them on the screen there in the video later when I get back to the office. Anyway, so that was with the 5 dB booster, and now what I'm gonna do is hook up the I think it's a 4 dBi RV booster. It's also available at SureCall and Winegard and other places, and we'll hook that up and see what kind of signal boost that we get here at this location. We do have 2 bars on the phone, so it's not a super healthy test. It'd be nice to get to an area where we might have just minimum 1 bar and do this test as well. So we'll get right back to you. So let's install the antenna for the Winegard antenna type. It's available through SureCall. It's available through Winegard in multiple places. We also have it available through our website. If you're interested, have a look in the link below. But I'll take these components and we'll mount them up on the roof. And what I've decided to do is just a couple of the tools that we'll use to do this whole project today. A lot of tools. Those strapping links there, tie straps. And the antenna that I'm going to temporarily remove is an antenna up top. There's a VHF antenna. We'll just set that aside and we'll put the antenna right there and compare the other antenna with the system. What I want to do here is just stop for a moment and just give a really valuable little piece of advice. Whenever you're installing an antenna, whether it's a cellular booster or VHF radio, CB, Wi-Fi, you name it, any kind of an antenna where a connection is involved, and the other end of the cable, they're always subject to corrosion, and often what makes or breaks a system is your antenna connection. Not just your component, but your antenna connection can be 90% of your problem if you're having poor signal. Now when it's brand new, it's not bad, but give it a couple of weeks, months, and maybe a year out in the elements, and it gets warm and hot and moisture inside, the pins do get corroded. So what we've used for a long time now, whenever we do a radio install on a pickup truck or a logging truck, base station, we use a dielectric grease. This particular grease is called a Permatex, and I pick it up at Canadian Tire, small tube, and I think it's maybe around $10, something like that, but I'll put a link in the subscription before. So what I do is it just needs a light little dab of it, and what I'll do is kind of hard to get inside the connector on some of these connectors, but I'll put a little bit on the end of the pin there and there as well, and then normally you could use a cotton swab or something like that, but try to get it inside the connector and the pin. I'm just going to use a little bit of a cheating tool here. Picked up a little slab of wood, little wood chip, and doesn't need to be liberal, but just get a little bit on the connector. And same thing with the other end. Get that worked inside the pin. You see the pin's way inside there. So just get a little dielectric on that. I'm just going to get a field of view here. There we go. And we're just going to see what we can do here to get some of that onto the pin there. So when you slide it together, it's going to keep the corrosion down and keep your connection better for the long run. Often what I found is this will make the antenna connection work good for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, where if you don't do this, in 6 months to a year, depending on the conditions, environment that you're in, can deteriorate those pins quite often. And it doesn't hurt to put just a little bit, not for connectivity, but just for ease of the connector to go on, just around there as well. And then what I'll do here is just fasten the N-type connector onto the bottom of this antenna base, and that little piece of information is something that is highly valuable for a technician if he wants to do an install where the connection is good and it's good for a number of years. So get a hold of a little bit of dielectric grease. You don't have to put a lot on, and it'll make your system work better for a lot longer time. Thank you. Hey, there's a camera watching me. Here we are up on the roof, and we're gonna change this antenna, but you know, we can't do it without a little bit of a Tim Hortons coffee to keep us warm here. It's about 6 degrees Celsius up on the roof. Too cold, but coffee's sure good. So what we're going to do here is just disconnect this VHF antenna temporarily until we find out which location. We'll have 4 antennas up on the roof here now. We've got the first cellular booster, the 5 dB on the other corner. And we're going to put the 4 dB antenna on here after we get this VHF antenna removed. And then over in the other corner we have an AM/FM radio. One day we'll have a YouTube video on that one too. It's a marine radio that we use for the installation here with inside and outside speakers and an antenna, but we'll cover that in another topic. So let's just remove this antenna here, and we'll get the other antenna installed. Straight, go in the right direction here. Be a small little task just swapping this antenna out and mounting the SureCall antenna in this place. Glad the rain and snow is staying away for this little task here, and in a moment we'll hook the DIY trailer up and we'll take it out to a location where the signal is a little weaker than it is in this particular location here. We do have about 2 bars on the phone. The system will work quite well without the booster, so we'll go into an area where we'll need that booster. So let's just fasten that on. That's not going to go anywhere. And so I'll just cut off here, and then I'll show you the other end where I'm going to put the cable in. I just want to show you that I've installed the antenna, and we just strap the cabling down. Yeah, let's have a look at that mountain. It's covered in snow up there, Mount Chiem. Beautiful mountain in our location. A lot of people hike up that, so if you've come out this way, look it up. So I just installed the cable underneath the solar panel, strapped it down underneath, and went over to my input box, and I'll just show you what I use for my installation of cabling into the rooftop here. I just have an electrical box that I've used and sealed it to the roof, and it has a lid that you can just undo the screws, and I put some grommets in there to run the cables through. And on the inside, you're always changing out antennas, cabling, and wiring, and it'll just drop down into the inside. This time I don't have a port for this antenna that we're installing, so I'm just going to temporarily run the cable in through the top without putting the lid in. And the clouds, it's a little bit cloudy out there, but I'm hoping it won't rain today, so I'm not going to go oopsie, should have put a grommet in there and run the cable inside. But anyway, we'll take a gamble, and let's just run that cable inside. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting somebody's watching me on the camera here. Anyway, here we are on top, the other end of the trailer, and we'll just move some of these items away, and we'll just run that cable, drop it right down into the little hatch that we have here. Run the cable out to the ground. This is a long cable here, it's 40 feet, and I only needed about 15 or 20 feet, so it's a lot of excess cable that we'll store inside. Some future date I'll cut it off and put a connector on the other end and shorten this up because I don't need this full length here. But today just being a quick temporary install here, so just run that inside here, drop it down the hatch. Alright, there's the last foot or so. We'll just quickly strap that down a little bit. Look a little tidier and a little bit more professional as we go hurtling down the highway to go test out this new antenna later. And like I said, I'm just going to leave this hatch open right now because I don't have a grommet for it to go into, and I hope it doesn't rain. This will be one of those oopsies that I get every once in a while. So there we go. So now we're going to go back down. We'll go inside and I'll show you where I've got it running inside through the booster. I'll see you down there. Alright, let's have a look inside and see where the cable comes down from the upper roof at the end of the cabinet here. That's where the hatch port comes in right there, and the cables come down. And I have the extra 30 feet sitting inside here, so we'll just coil that up and stick it inside the cabinet. I'll show you real quick where I went inside the cabinet there to have some imports there. So in the future, what I'll do is I'll put a little panel to hide those cables up top there. But for now, that's quite alright. So the cables come inside here from the different antennas inside the cabinet. And I just have that cable onto the back of the SureCall Cellular booster now, and all the lights are flashing green, which is a good thing. And we'll just make some tests from here at the location, and then we'll drive out to a remote location and see if it works well with maybe 1 bar of signal versus a good solid 2 bars that we have on this location. Alright, now that we have the white 4 dB SureCall RV antenna installed, we've got hooked up down there, and I'm using this little stubby antenna, which is actually a mag mount designed for the vehicles to put on the roof, but it works inside as well, so that's what I like using because I can pull it down. And so without the booster on, we're sitting at 2 bars on the phone, a solid 2 bars. Sorry for being a little shaky there. So what I'll do now is we'll just fire up the SureCall, or let me say the Go Power inverter here, because I've got mine plugged into AC at the moment. We'll put another jack in there for 12 volt DC. I have a cord for it. I just don't have a jack designed for it in case I don't want to use the inverter and consume more power than necessary when all I need is a booster on. And then over on the side here in another video, we're going to talk about this Boss AM/FM radio, which is designed for marine. And just a little quick peek, it fit really nicely. It's just a center circular hole to cut, mounted inside, and has all the cabling for multiple speakers, etc. So that's what I used in this RV, but we'll discuss that in another future video. So now that we've got it turned on, let's pull down this magnet antenna that I like using it. That way it has a lot of cord on there, and I can take it over to the desk if I'm working over there, or set it right beside my phone. And let's just see what kind of signal that we'll get when we just draw that right beside it with this antenna. So again, take a picture of it and I'll post it, but we can see we got a good solid 4 bars off of this with that white SureCall RV antenna. So both of them gave us 4 bars here off the 2 solid bars. So let's get things ready and hook up the trailer. And there it is, both the antennas installed. Now we have that white plastic modular antenna designed by SureCall for RVs. Let's load up the ladder in the back of the truck and get the trailer hooked up. Have a look, see what our signal strength will be in a remote area with a lot less signal. Just as I'm loading the ladder into the back of the truck, what I wanted to mention, what I use with our RV when we put the awning out and we need some anchors to keep the awning from flopping around in the wind, is got some pint-sized Home Depot buckets and some quick ready cement, so they're all filled up with cement. And what I did is I filled them up 3/4 with cement, anchored some bolts into it, and you guys that do mountain climbing will have a name for this, but anyway, these little clips here just attach to the bungee cords off of the awning when we have it hooked up, and it keeps the awning from flopping around. But a dual purpose for them, since I have 4 of these here, I'll leave them in the back of the truck for winter months when the roads are a little slippery and wet and icy. Give us a little bit more weight in the back of the truck and a little bit more traction for these gnarly, what do they call these things? The Recon grappler, whatever. You can read it on there better than I can upside down, from the Ford dealer. they had put these beefier tires on it and put a 2-inch lift on the truck, which just makes it look a little bit more beefy and a little bit more off-roady, as I did with the RV as well. So while we're talking about tires, let me just quickly run back there. I know you guys are looking for the antenna signals and stuff, but I put some 10-ply gnarly RV tires and rims on the trailer as well, just to match up if we want to go down some rough roads up into the Yukon, etc. next year. So little quick clip there as far as the tires go for our truck. I love this 12-volt electric jack that I installed for getting the hitch hooked up and down, and works great. Also the backup camera on the truck works great. Almost have it backed up far enough there. Looks like I could back up another 3/4 of an inch and it'll drop right down. So let's do that and then we'll be on our way. The location that we're coming to do the 2 antenna test for the SureCall Cellular booster is at Tamahai Creek. This is where a lot of you kayakers would probably want to hang out, test your skills. It's beyond my 68 years of desire to want to do these days, but a beautiful spot nonetheless. Here we are at the beautiful Tamahai Park campsite. It's a place where we're going to test our signal, because I do believe it's only typically gets about 1 bar in this location. So let's have a look, let's get set up, and I'll meet you inside. My battery died on the GoPower, so we'll use the iPhone camera here. Here we are at the Tamahai Creek campsite, and let's just have a look on our phone. It has 1 bar on it, and I just turned on the inverter to get the booster up, and look at that, we've got 4 solid green lights, no reds flashing, so that's a good thing. And let's close that up for a second here, and we're on the 4 dB white antenna at this time. So I'm just going to turn the camera. So now I'm hooked up to the black wire, which leads over to the 5 dBi booster, which is the slimline antenna. Have all the lights on, but when I did the test to see how many bars would actually come up on the cellular phone as far as signal strength, it only came up to 2 bars. So I guess that answers our question. When we're out in a remote area, the white cellular booster antenna from SureCall does have a little bit more gain in remote areas than the slimline antenna, so that's an interesting learn. So let's get this phone back up in the air here and call it a win. So guess which antenna is staying on the roof? You got it, the white antenna. So that's a wrap of this test. I've concluded that the white antenna is the one to go, and the other antenna will come off, and we'll use something in that location for a different device. But this time, that's what we're going to use. Here's just a quick shot of the inside interior of the RV, some of the cabinets. And it's about time to go camping. Thanks for watching.